I'm now going to go over the DJI Go app. This app shows you everything when you're flying. Your camera settings, your height and distance, your speed, how many satellites you're connected to, so you definitely need this before you fly. There are other apps that you can use. I personally always use this one, and I definitely recommend it for beginners. Okay, now that you have downloaded your DJI Go app and you have turned on your drone, when you go to the app and click on camera, this is what you should be seeing. Well, you'll be seeing whatever your camera is seeing. For me, I have it staring at some blinds. But this is the screen that you'll see when you're flying and where you can do all your settings, and I'm going to go over all that right now. Okay. So this is your home button right here. Your home button is going to take you to some other menus that are all really great, but you don't need anything from it to fly with. So I suggest to look at that at another time, but there's nothing that you need there right now. Okay, so this right here shows you the mode that you'll be flying in. I'm in P mode. That's what I usually leave it in. And I suggest you also definitely start off in P mode. This shows me the amount of satellites that my drone is connected to. Now I'm inside right now, and I'm assuming you probably are too, so if you look at this, I'm guessing your satellites will be pretty low too. I probably also have a lot of interference where I'm at right now. So as you can see, I'm connected to 6 satellites. However, it's red right here, and only one little bar is taken up. So when you're outside, you want to make sure that you have a lot more than 6, and that this is probably green, and it doesn't need to be completely filled up, but just the fact that it's green shows you that you're good to go. This right here is telling you your status indicator, and when you click on it, it will actually give you a whole nother menu, and I will get into that in a minute, but this is to let you know when you're ready to fly. So I'm safe to fly, but my drone does not have GPS, and that's because I'm inside and have interference. This is your controller connection, HD connection. This is your battery. Very important to look at. This green right here, this whole line is my battery too, and it goes down with time. So when it reaches here, this is the amount of time it will take for your drone to return home. So once it goes past this point, your drone doesn't have enough battery to return home. So your drone will do that automatically, but that's just a marker to remember. So this whole like timeline shows your entire battery. Okay, so this right here, if you click on it, this is takeoff. So you can actually have your drone automatically take off for you if that is something that makes you more comfortable. So feel free to do that if that's something you're interested in. Okay, cancel here. This, return to home and land. So this is how you can have your drone return back to your home point. And your home point is set where you are. So right there. There's also a mode on an actual button on your controller, and your drone will do this automatically if it reaches this point. Okay, cancel. Another important part is the map. So you can actually click on the map and you'll see where you are and what's going on. Mine's actually completely incorrect because I'm just not having GPS right now, but I never use the map other than to keep it just how it is in this small little corner. It's good just to keep my eye on it. I can see where I've flown my drone, and it also shows me where my home point is, and you always want to make sure that is correct. So if your drone ever does return home, it doesn't fly away to some random point. So always just look at this, but you definitely want to fly with your camera view. Okay, important things. This is your height. So when your drone's off the ground, it will tell you the height. So right now I am on the ground, so it's 0 feet. Distance is the horizontal distance away from you. So my drone is across the room right now, so it's kind of messing around here again because it's not having a great signal, so it's not really sure, but it's, a few feet away from me. This is your speeds right here and all that good stuff. So these two are definitely very important to watch. Again, the law is that you stay under 400 feet, so you definitely want to watch this, and you don't want your drone to go too far away from you, especially in the beginning, so just make sure you keep an eye on this as well. All right, let's talk about the next stuff. So these are your camera controls. This is your ISO, shutter speed, aperture, and exposure. And this right here shows my SD card, how many more pictures I have left, and what form I'm shooting in. So I'm shooting in JPEG and RAW, and these are my settings that I have right now. You can see if I change the exposure on my camera, you'll see it's getting brighter, and for instance, this is increasing, and these are all changing automatically. So it's an automatic mode right now. So that's how you do all that. Let's see. This is a menu. I'm going to go into that. That's going to give you a lot more information. This is your camera button, as in you select whether you're in camera mode, photo mode, I should say, or video mode. So you just slide this over if you want to be right here taking a video. And this is your shutter button. You hit this to take a photo, and you hit this to start recording. And you hit it again to stop. One thing I do want to mention, because I have made this mistake so many times, too many, is you can't take a photo while recording. So you have to end your recording, put this to photo, hit the button, it takes a photo, and then I always forget to either slide it back and hit record, or if I do slide it back, I still don't hit record. So make sure you always think of this, because I have missed out on some great footage myself, and that's something I want you to be aware of. So just make sure you're recording when you're trying to take a good video. This is play button, so you can actually look back and see some of your photos you're taking, and these are your camera settings button. So I'm going to get into clicking on actual menus within this app so you can see a little more. But this is your main interface. This is what you're going to be seeing when you're flying. All this will be here when you're flying. So please get familiar with what things mean. The most important things I would say are your battery. Always make sure your battery is good. You know, check your status. Make sure your satellites are good, and then keep in mind your height and distance. And then if you're trying to take some great footage, make sure you're recording. And then here's your map to keep an eye on as well. But other than that, there's a lot of things going on here that you don't necessarily need to look at. Just keep in mind those important things. Okay, now that you know the basis of this first screen, let's get into some of the menus. Let's first start off with some of your camera settings. So right down here, this is where you're going to find all your manual settings for your camera. Now you do not have to use this, and again, it's not completely essential to your first few flights, but it's very simple. You click on it right here. It shows you what your camera is taking in auto mode. You cannot change this other than the exposure, which you can see is changing on my screen. Okay, so if you want to, choose your own ISO, your own shutter speed, you just move this auto to manual. And now look, you can move your ISO, you can pick which one, you can choose your shutter speed, and all of that. So that's an easy way to have custom and manual settings for your camera if you are someone who's very interested in having your own settings so you can take the correct photo. Then that is there for you, and that is a pretty simple part of the app. The next part right here is menu. So this whole area has to do with your camera. So remember that. So when you click on this menu, it's going to give you more settings that have to do with your camera. So right now, we're on photos. You can choose your image size, your formats. Like I said, I always shoot in JPEG and RAW because I love RAW formats to edit down the line, and I also like JPEGs because they're fast and easy and they look great right off the bat. I have auto white balance. You can change all this. You can change your style, colors, all that stuff. So go ahead, look at this, play around, see what you like. But again, you don't really have to touch any of this for your first few flights. If you just want to practice, get your drone off, fly around, the app comes pretty much ready to go, as does your drone. So don't worry about this if you just want to start going right now. So again, for video, here is your video format. your white balance again, your formats, styles, colors, all that good stuff. In settings, you can choose to have a histogram. So if you want to see the dark and lights in your photos, you can use a histogram. I don't actually use this. I just feel like my screen is so small already, I don't want to clutter it. You can have like an overexposure warning. So it will show you on the live video feed areas that are overexposed. I also don't use this. For me, I found it's annoying, but it might be a great way if you're someone who doesn't really know much about photography or videography and want to know ways to make it better. So like I said, there's all this stuff down here. You can format your SD card right here. So this is a way to clear all the information off your SD card. I have some old footage on there that I've already uploaded. I'm just going to format it. And formatting is always good to do before you fly, just to make sure there's no issues with writing on your card. So that's it for the whole camera settings right here. The other thing I do want to show you is this though, photo. So if you click on photo, now all of a sudden you have a million different options. Maybe not a million, but quite a few. So you can have a single shot, that's what we're on, and that's when you click the shutter button, it's going to take one shot at the settings shown. Or you can do an HDR shot. You can do multiple shots. You can do 3, 5, or 7. So when you click it, it will take 3 photos right away, 5 or 7. AEB. So this is going to take 3 photos at different exposures. And you can do 5 exposures if you want, or you can do a time shot. So you can see as I click on these change. So you'll always know which one you're on. So easiest, keep it on single for now. That's what I use. The other one I tend to use a lot is AEB, just because I do like to take one photo and have it at different exposures, so that way when I get home, I know my photo's not going to be too light or too dark, because I have options to see which one I like. So that wraps it up for all your settings and all your different photos and ways to shoot with your camera. So the next part is we'll talk about our status indicator. So it's saying safe to fly. So my satellites are at 8 right now, and it's saying you're good to go. So if you click on it, you'll see right here, overall status, normal, that's perfect. I am in P mode, perfect. My IMU is normal. Your IMU is something that can be calibrated. There is an option within the app to do that with your drone, and that is something that you may have to do if you run into problems ever. But if it says normal, then you should be good to go. Your compass, mine says normal, but every time you go somewhere new, you need to calibrate your compass. And that is something I will be showing later on. Gimbal status, normal, perfect. Radio channel quality, poor. Strong interference, please be cautious in long distance flight. That is because I'm inside, so it's not having great connections here. So flight mode again, good to go. My RC mode, it's just the way the controls work. I'm in mode 2, that's the default mode, and that's the mode I will be teaching you guys. It's definitely the easiest. And this right here is showing me aircraft battery percent, 84, RC battery, this is your controller, so this is a great way to see how charged your controller is. And it's also right here showing me my battery temperature. These aren't things I ever really look at, but I guess it's good to know if you're in cold conditions or if your battery feels very hot, definitely something to look at. And then you can also format your SD card down here as well. So this is your status screen. You always want to look at this, and if there's an issue, it will say right here, and it may give you an explanation, because if you click on status, I have nothing because mine's normal. It should give you an explanation of what's happening. Maybe you need to update your firmware. Maybe you just need to calibrate. Maybe you're inside and you're not having great connections. So just check that out. But I'm good to go. So that is my status indicator. So now that you know what most things mean on the screen, you know how to use your camera, you know how to check your status, the last thing really is these settings right here.